The Isle of Man TT has always carried a reputation that is both legendary and terrifying, a place where speed meets danger on roads that refuse to forgive a single mistake. It was on those very roads, during the 2026 Isle of Man TT, that Erno Kostamo, a talented and respected road racer from Finland, suffered a crash that left the motorsport world stunned. The news came quickly, without the usual buildup of interviews or press conferences, and without the chance for fans to say goodbye. He was still in the middle of his story, still pushing the limits of what he could do on two wheels, and now that story has taken a turn that no one expected. Erno Kostamo was not a name known to casual fans of motorcycle racing, but to those who follow the TT, the Northwest 200, and the road racing scene across Europe, he was a familiar and respected figure. He was a rider who had spent years grinding through the ranks, learning the craft, and building the kind of reputation that comes from consistency, courage, and an unshakable belief in himself. He wasn't the fastest rider on paper, but he was the kind of rider who could make a difference in a race, who could turn a modest machine into a contender with sheer skill and focus. That was the kind of rider he was, and that was the kind of rider he would always be remembered as. His crash during the 2026 Isle of Man TT came at a point in the race when the track was still drying, when the rubber was still finding its grip, and when the margin for error was razor thin. The Isle of Man TT is a race where the road itself is the opponent, where every bend, every crest, and every straight can punish a mistake in an instant. On that day, Erno's bike lost traction at speed, the rear wheel slid out from under him, and the bike and rider were thrown into the air. The impact was violent, the kind of crash that leaves no doubt about the forces at play. The safety crews rushed to his side, and the medical teams worked tirelessly to stabilize him. In the days that followed, the news came: Erno had survived, but he had been left with serious injuries that would require a long and grueling recovery. For fans watching on television, the crash played out like a blur of color and noise. The camera caught the moment his bike left the ground, the moment the barrier flashed past, and the moment the dust and smoke from the tires filled the air around him. The grandstands, which had been a roar of cheers just seconds earlier, went quiet for a moment, as if the entire crowd held its breath, waiting for the first sign that the rider was okay. In that silence, every watcher knew that Erno's life was hanging in the balance, and that the difference between a career-ending injury and a fatal crash could be measured in inches. What happened next is what made the crash more than just a moment of violence. It became a moment of hope, of grief, and of admiration. The safety crews were already moving before the bike came to a complete stop, racing toward the wreckage with the speed and precision that only years of practice can create. The medical team worked tirelessly to stabilize him, and the hospital staff did everything they could to ensure he received the best care possible. When Erno was finally out of surgery and able to speak, he told his family and his team that he was fighting, that he was not giving up, and that he would come back stronger than ever. Those words were not just about survival. They were about resilience, about the kind of strength that comes not from the body, but from the heart. For the motorsport community, Erno's crash is a reminder of the risks that come with the sport, but it is also a reminder of the courage that it takes to step onto the track. He was not just a rider. He was a symbol of what is possible when someone refuses to let the world tell them what they can't do. His injuries are not the end of his story. They are a new chapter, one that will be written with the same courage, the same determination, and the same spirit that defined his entire career. The road ahead will be harder, but Erno has always been built for hard roads. He has always been built for the long fight. What makes Erno Kostamo's story so moving is not just the crash itself, but the way he has handled it since. He has not given up. He has not let the news of his injuries define him. Instead, he has begun the long, grueling process of rehabilitation, working with doctors, therapists, and his family to rebuild his strength, to learn how to move again, and to find a new way forward. He has spoken publicly about the pain, about the fear, and about the uncertainty of what the future holds. But he has also spoken about the hope, about the love of his fans, and about the determination to keep fighting. His words are not just about survival. They're about resilience, about the kind of strength that comes not from the body, but from the heart. If you've ever felt the tension of a close racing battle, I